Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Studio 10 Broadcasting. I am your host, Michael Anthony. Welcome again to 10 O'Clock Talks, America in Crisis on this Friday night. March Madness, isn't it? Something like that. Let's see. All right, let's get to the live section here. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right in with you. Massive turnout for Putin, huh? Kind of like a Trump rally. Makes you wonder what makes certain things like that click. Sure matches up, doesn't it? All right, there we go. Yeah, it does confirm live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome, Gary. How are you? Denise Olson, B. Dice, Dave Glovin. Even the guy who wants to be the Dark Radio Network Project. Oh, anyway, so yeah, I caught this thing. I worked all day, just so you know. So my notes are jibble jabbled all over the place, and that's a fact. So we're going to go through this tonight the best that I can. I also had to deal with some family things. You know how life is. I mean, it is what it is. But let's get into this a little bit here. Fonda, what did she say? No one really cares. That's what I say. I mean, truth. I got something for you, though. I got something for you. I've been waiting to. Hey, Agatha, how are you, sweetheart? Appreciate your support coming in. So, this Moderna company. You may not have known this, and actually, I only knew part of it. Something else came to light, to surface. Um, Soros, Gates, and Fauci commingled this whole narrative of Moderna, and actually, Fauci was the CEO, I believe, the CEO for the company. And then they boosted, they changed things, whatever. And guess who was one of the biggest money influences to the company? Epstein. Believe it or not, that's a fact. Soros, Gates, Fauci, and Epstein. Imagine that, and that's the truth. So, besides that, all right. So, I'm hearing a lot today that's coming out. Also, I heard a couple news flash things while I was working and stuff about the sports and the transgender and the cross dressing athletes, if you want to call them. And look, I'm not judging anybody here, okay? But I do understand the fact, and we've talked about this before on the show and on different platforms that I do, that once a man, always a man. You're never going to change that fact. It's just a fairy tale you're living in. You can identify as anything or anyone you want, just like getting a Halloween costume, except you wear yours daily. Doesn't change the fact that you're a man. I don't believe ever, in my life that we would be in a place like this where if you're handsome, you identify as handsome. If you don't say, oh, well, handsome said, this is all bullshit. It's mind blowing. It really is. It's mind blowing. But I want to talk about something a little bit bigger. And I do have a worry of what's going on in Ukraine with Russia, Poland, NATO, the whole United Nation clique thing. These are self inflictions by a government, and here you have Zelensky, pushing a narrative on all of us and our governments to create this no-fly zone. You create this no-fly zone, and you will have a mass weaponry of destruction scenario jump into the. You start shooting down Russian planes, I guarantee you, they're gonna switch to the next new narrative, and it's gonna be disastrous weaponry. And without a doubt, we will be there, and it'll be the only place that Putin would be able to move. And I think maybe that's why he came out and tried to give some explanations or thoughts on where he was with stuff this evening in his red, white, and blue rally. Imagine that. But it is. The flag is white, blue, and red. But anyway, so you check it out. Very similar to the United States without the stars, but stars and stripes and all that. You get where I'm coming from. So anyway, yeah, and the Rachel Levine thing, Woman of the Year. I mean, please. These are just reward tactics that they'll go to any extreme of narrative to, piss everybody off throughout America and further, because everyone's seeing the embarrassment of what this administration is doing to America. It's just mind blowing. Um, Again, like I said, I'm going to be jumping here, there, and everywhere. We know Disney. That was everyone wants to go. Let's go to Disneyland. Great place. Take kids. 108 arrested. Now there was something about this that was actually talked about this like a year ago. So I don't know if this is a fault narrative, meaning like they're creating a new fault of narrative and diversifying it into today's date. But again, it could be true. But I'm remembering something about this, and I have to just say, this could be one of those narratives of false narratives that they do. And speaking of Zelensky, if that's how you pronounce his name, a lot of people might not even know this, but he was Jewish. This was a Jew, a guy that was Jewish, and at least halfway. And then he, kind of bowed his way through the, to the Nazi Germany's, which would be the Khazarian mafia. And these are the symbols that you're seeing in the background and more. And I guess that's why the $800 million coming from the United States would be important. Just a possibility of why it's important. I don't know. Anyway, it's all Joe Obama's doing, and more even to say, because we have other sadness. This Smollett deal, you know, convicted on 5 charges, and they free him because he's scared. He's not going to commit suicide. Clearly, he's made that statement. He ate no food. He only drank water. His attorneys go to the judge. Probably judge received the phone call from possibly the vice president of the United States, and they met her demands. They released him. Now, if that would happen to you, me, or the other guy, come on. I mean, you know what that is. And again, I'm only reflecting news of the world in America, because this is what's been going on for the week, if not even more. But something even a little bit more weird is coming into focus too. They're called flying spiders. All right. Now, I guess Gates has been busy. We know he's dealing with mosquitoes and other different types of insects, but now they're claiming. Now, you got to understand this. And I do know that there are some spiders out there that are very, very light. It's kind of the America Disclosing Uncensored narrative, where you learn about things you didn't know existed. But these things have like a way of making a parachute somehow, and taking the jet stream. Now, I don't believe that anybody can take the jet stream. A spider could, and go all the way from Japan and get up here to the United States. I would say that, somebody's probably releasing them. Now, get this: they're very, very fragile, but they're like the size of your hand. So if you encounter one of these things, just kill it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, because I don't dig spiders. But these flying spiders are to hit the East Coast coming from Japan. So is that why they changed the jet stream? Is that why we have the issues of some of the other narratives that go on? And I'm sorry, my messages aren't working. Let me check here. I'm seeing a lot of writings up there. Let me just see if I can get anything that comes across. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. When you are in the oven, when you are born, and when you pull out the thermometer, it's popped up. You are a male. Yeah, I get you, brother. I get you. I get you. Carl, all designed to divide. Who really care? You're right. I don't really care. It's the point, though, that, there are good people that are in sports. They work their whole entire lives, and you get this major athlete who is a man, and, he legally steals the rewards that all these young ladies work for. I don't go with it. I don't go with it. If they try to take the Second Amendment, then there will be war within the United States. you have there's a good possibility that that could be true, Gary. I mean, that could possibly happen without a doubt. That could possibly, very well, possibly happen. I mean, uh, the scenarios are so big that we're living in. I mean, where do you place it all? Where do you place it all? It's never going to go away by the way. And if 2022 is the fail, um, the outlook for 2024 is pretty much out of reach. That's the truth. You got months here. You got months to get this in order. Also, I wanted to tell you a little something that broke news, and I don't know if any of you guys heard this, but they'll probably try to narrate into this somehow where the truckers would get blamed for it, even if this wasn't in the location of the truckers. But five people were killed, right, driving in between a bunch of semi tractor trailers on a road, and I I'm hoping it's just, one of those things, a bad accident. But who knows how the media will perceive this and how they'll represent that out. So I don't know if any of you guys heard anything about this or not, but keep that in mind. Keep your ears and eyes open. Keep your ears and eyes open. So anyway, $16.40 per hour. Managers doubled. Walmart soon to hire 50,000 workers, 50,000 at $16.40 per hour. Managers up to double that amount if information out about Target doing the same kind of thing, hiring not nearly as many. But then you have Amazon now, who's backing out of developing and throughout the United States. Um, I guess in ways that because the people are not just digging Amazon, okay? Amazon comes to the front line. They want to take over other properties that are big, modify them for their liking, and I guess so they can, deliver and expedite their goods from their locations to get to the people, the public. And a lot of people are waking up and saying, "No, enough of this big stuff. Get rid of it. We don't want it." So the people in Churchill, Pennsylvania did really good. They stood strong. And Amazon finally just said, we give up. We're not going to bother with that location. So if you want to take control to support your smalls, this is how you do it. You stand up, and these things can happen for you. I mean, it can happen for America because the bigger the bigs get, the smaller the smalls are going to get until they're gone. And they want to absorb the smalls up. Getting back here, real quick here. Oh, Alyssa Lang stepped in. Hi, Alyssa. How are you this evening? So you have that going on as well. Cost of living, Social Security, and allowable work. Here, in the times that we're in right now, there's always a platform, okay, and we have to live by these rules and regulations, and everybody has. So say you're a bottom liner, okay, because when it's on the media, it doesn't even mean if it's right side broadcasting, Newsmax, it doesn't matter. Everybody looks at a narrative, but they don't always bring these things into the light. But you do have they talk $30,000, $40,000 jobs. So what about fixed income? All right, the fixed income here that worries me the most that nobody's looking at is the fact that a lot of people who are on SSDI and SSI can go out and work. If you take retirement early, I believe you still have to notify them. You're allowed to make so much money, but up to a certain limit. Why don't they just throw these limitations out the door? If you qualified, you're on it and you're within that 5-year program. At the end, where you'll never be checked, you'll never have to go to a psychiatrist, you'll never have to go for a medical evaluation again. Why don't they just remove these instead of hardcore playing with people's lives here? Because honestly, how are people supposed to live off $800 a month, $1,000 a month, and then be subjected to only being allowed to make a few bucks? And I mean a few bucks. Come on, it's unreal. If people are starting to pay the absorbencies of this 15, 18, $30 an hour, and there's a lot of jobs out there floating at that kind of money. By the way, uh, state unemployment fund is now in one of the lowest levels where people are not going for it. They're just not applying for it. We still have the empty seats and positions and jobs. Where are they getting their money? How are they living? I don't know. Evidently, they got enough. Maybe they have enough now since so much free money was being given out. But I am worried about the older folk. They always come into light, and it's a true factor. Okay, when you have Social Security as one's only dollar, to live on, why did they subject people to the fact that you can only make up to $1,000? That doesn't even meet the you know the narrative of people who are working. I mean, it's mind blowing. And listen, I'm tired. I'm just trying to, like, come out, meet and greet with everybody here, have some conversation, make comments to me. It's fine. I'll read them off for you, um, and so forth. So yeah, flying spiders. I thought that was pretty cool. That's why I brought it up. All right, convention of states. Maybe this will get you interested. West Virginia just passed it. All right, so you might want to look into what is the Convention of States, but they are growing. Has to do with Article 5. Push your state legislators on this, because this might be that North versus the South kind of typical thing here, on how we can regroup. And there is information out there to give everybody bits and pieces of how that will work and what it'll do for us in America against a government that we have. Okay, because we will be able to use it. It's a narrative that will be able to be used. Overdoses up 100%. And in my city, Braddock, Pennsylvania, hello, John Lieutenant Governor Fetterman. You remember where it made news all around the world. Did a bridge collapse with a pat bus on it, and it went down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then mysteriously rains came. All the bolts got rusted. It was hard to tell where brakes were. If it was fresh rust, if it was old rust. No, you can tell fresh from old. There's a difference. But nevertheless, we probably will never get an actual 100% proof of what did happen with that bridge and that incident. But nevertheless, in Braddock, Pennsylvania, 30 pounds of fentanyl at a street value of $1 million. I'm sorry, I beg to differ. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I do know fact for fact that if you get caught with 30 pounds, unless that was a misprint on the weight of it, it's going to be worth a lot more money than that. Now, I want you to understand, 30 pounds of this is enough to take out the United States. Okay, here right up the road from me. All right, and it really ticks me the freak off. But good work by the police. Good work by everybody that was involved. They took cars, they took jewelry, they took guns, and $500 some thousand in cash was found. But this is what's going on all throughout America. No different than what Chicago's going through, and Lightfoot, and what her agenda, what she pushes, and where everybody's at down there. Mass shootings everywhere, including in my city, in Pittsburgh. This is where I'm at right now, coming to you from. And it's everywhere. Everything is on the rise. Nothing is on, and the economy, highest it's ever been. And now we're at a percentile. They're saying we're only at like 7 point some percent of an economic rise. And that's bullshit. Okay. Things are doubling. And then you have the place shrinkage, where, they're just shrinking the packages, charging you the same price, hiding behind the narrative so they can't get, in trouble per se. No one's going to get in trouble. They were probably guided on how to do it from the administration and these think tanks that we're fighting. So you have all these different things and elements. I don't know what's going on in your city, but I can tell you about Texas. The border is packed at times. No joke. Love the truckers to death. Love the truckers to death. But I mean, maybe they would have been a bigger help for us in America if they would have went down and tried to block the borders, and just bumper to bumpered every goddamn truck for, the distance of the worst scenario cases of locations where they're coming through. I mean, I'm not saying what they're doing is not helping. Okay. I don't know where it's going to get us in the long run. I don't. And I don't know if anybody caught this, because I did just a few minutes ago. Somebody laid down a bike to stop the truckers from being able to move. The police had to get involved. Then there was an accident there. So there was a bunch of issues that were starting. So as everything seemed to be so calm, this has now come up. So there are some people out there that don't agree with who we are in America, what we're fighting for. And evidently they were in Washington and they laid down a bike in the middle of the freeway to stop all the truckers from having any further movement. So yeah, all right. So anyway, um, oh, okay. So yeah, people are still. Hey, Jeffrey's in. How are you, Jeffrey? Nice to hear from you, brother. How's Dad? Hope Pops is good. I saw the car. Looks good. Looks good. Yours too. Always. We'll have to ride together someday. We're gonna have to go old schooling. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had. It was a great day in Pittsburgh, by the way. We're going to see some changes in weather. It's going to be going up and down. I want to talk climate to you guys. I never get around to it. It's because I go so long in these broadcasts, and all these thoughts. I never get to some of the narratives that I want. And I'm hoping Sunday night I can kind of turn to that and make that effect work for some people. There's all kind of different things out there. Now, I want to talk to you about Ukraine on a different aspect of it. They're all like, how did Putin know about the biolabs and all this stuff? Well, because believe it or not, they were part of the Russian Empire at once upon a time. They were there. They started them. They know what they were taking over for. So I just wanted to have some clarity to that. Also, Johnson's claiming, okay, now I'm getting this off our side of the news. This is the people who we listen to. They're saying that Johnson and Johnson is 76% affected fighting the Delta cron. So I don't know. I mean, we know where that's at when you look at the adverse effects and some of the other things going on out there, which I'm going to talk to you about right now, actually. Dr. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got messages coming through from other platforms. That's all right. I ain't going to be able to get to them tonight. That's fine. So check this out. Dr. David Martin. All right. Now, this guy's a rock star. He's figured out the patents. This guy has done his homework. I mean, he's rock star solid. Okay. So anyway, he's in this huge fight for us, America. And, he had to fight to get lawsuits filed, and he tried everything on the lower courts, and nobody was receptive to him. So finally, in Utah, he was able to get federal judges to allow him to file a lawsuit against Joe Biden. Okay, I call it Obama because it's like the big crew, and that's why I'm sharing it with you that way. So this is in Utah. It's for deceptive medical practices and intentional acts of false and notorious health crimes. Boy, we know that that's fact, and I can share a fact like that with you, but I'm not going to. Something I just went through, a family member, and is now gone, and it falls right into these categories. Totally does. All right, because it's all a trap, especially if you have underlying conditions. And they should not push anybody into anything underlining in any way or subject them to it. So this guy's a rock star. Now, one of the things that that also in this narrative that comes out is the fact the warp speed death trap. What really was it? What was it? Warp speed rescue and cure, or was it a death trap? And these are parts of why he's fighting this and going after the Biden crime family in this lawsuit. Pfizer willfully, by admission, you must remember, stated that all these adverse effects just recently, or kill cures, as I might call them. But what happens is your body becomes this, thing, and once you receive this, you make pathogens. You do. Now, the one thing that we are learning is these. The fact that they want boosters in you is because they know the true narrative, the full effectiveness. If you get one of these contaminated vials, it only lasts for about 60 days, unless you're sick. If you're sick and you receive it, then you're going to have the adverse effects, and it could be much worse. Otherwise, your own body's natural immune system will help fight it, because like anything else, it can and it will. Nevertheless, getting back to this part here, what I wanted to tell you, we also know now that there's what I call the 60-day bomb theory, the human bomb. In January 2022, Canadian papers that were now found show money and partnerships that link people together, and you know who they are. And it also links that there are 10 more intended attacks towards us, the American people. And it could be a global thing, but it narrated to the American people. So here you have a guy who's doing really rock star work out there, trying to take care of America the best he can. This is why I tell everybody, you can't lay things down. There is more out there. There, people trying to get their states together to go against the government. There are people fighting issues and Nuremberg issues. There are people fighting and filing lawsuits against Biden for crimes of humanity, allowing these things to go on. And of course, the further you dig into the paper, where is not Joe's hands been or his family's hands been? Laptop says it all, but no, it's not a real thing. It might be mine, as Hunter said. It could be mine, possibly, but maybe it isn't. But the fact is, it is, and it's his. The pictures say everything. And what was the comment about Joe and the nakedness and all that? What the hell was that? I mean, what planet are these people on? And then Nancy babbling, drunk. I mean, this is our government. I'm sorry. This is not a government by no means. All right, let me go back here and refresh this page real quick here, because somebody has a really, really long comment. And sometimes the only way to refresh it is to try to refresh it. Doesn't always let me do it. It's mind blowing. So let me go through it this way on my little modem thing here. I have this little device. I watched an item on the news channel I watched and showed where a bunch of aliens came across the U.S. Border Patrol. The woman and well, I really wish I had my glasses on for this. The print is extra small tonight. I forgot to highlight it. Ugh. Anyway, came across the border, and now my lights are dimming. Hold on. Unbelievable. It's like they are doing this to me on purpose. Wow, now it's like blinding. Okay, but anyway. All right, so all these people are coming across the border. The patrol took the woman and the kids, left the men, and when they planned around with the panned around, I guess he meant to say, with the camera at the tall fence, only went about 50 feet, and the rest is just short little barricades. Okay, so he's given us the scenario, what he saw out of the border down there. Do you know what part of Texas you're talking about? Were they right at the main border patrol? So anyway, some of what Gary's saying. So if you guys out there are reading this, you can be able to go through Mexico side of the fence, because they all have to do is walk around. It's a tall fence, and they're in the U.S. Right. And again, I said it before, and I'm for our truckers. There's no two. I am, but could we have done just as much by going down to the border and assisting that way in some fashion? That's all I'm really trying to say here. But anyway, these are issues that pertain to this lawsuit. Getting back to that, it's pretty intense. It really is. We do stand a chance here to get this into a courtroom. Now, Joe probably won't show up. He'll probably have a team of 20 to 30 attorneys there, without a doubt. But this is a key element, and it removes, if this was to work and they are able to prove their case, this is the key element. And the key here is that then all executive orders, mandates, etc., and everything we're living in would kind of fall away, go away, break away. You have the foundation. If the foundation collapses, every other narrative that you pushes falls apart. So anything that they are pushing on us that has to do with mandates and so forth, and certain executive orders, they would then be, boom, frozen in track. Now, we do know this. When Congress can pass something in at the middle of the night, and our republic on the right stands to know that they're dealing with a bunch of morons, as we know that they are, who only deals in the dark and night and on holidays to transport people throughout America, they have their blinders on. You can't sit there, Marjorie, and tell me that they pulled another one over your eyes. Where are you people that listen, nothing bad on Marjorie or anybody. This isn't really where how I wanted to go, but I wanted to be in relationship to how I wanted to go. My thought is this, and I try to take things into and put them into the best perspective that I can for everybody when I talk. You know, when you're aware of a scenario, you don't let your guard down. It's 24/7. That means even if you all take shifts, somebody should have been sending warning bells out to all of you instead of letting this thing get passed. I mean, where were you? You know how they work, you know what their actions are. Please. All right. 1.5 trillion approved. Unbelievable. We don't have this money. What are we? 33 in debt now, 34.5 trillion in debt. And where would this money go? Listen, they want to watch your bank account and watch where every dollar goes. Well, how about we put something out there where the government has to post where every dollar goes that we know? And I don't care if it's about these plans for personal uses for the president. It doesn't matter. Every penny should be accounted for somewhere, who it's going to, and then we'll do the research to find out what kids got it, which family members got it, which brothers got it, which sisters got it, which parents got it, which countries got it, which other government country leaderships got it. Okay. But no, that's not going to float because what's right for them is wrong for us, and what's wrong for them is right. So vice versa. And that's how it's going to be. And until we can strategize something in the future where we can create these narratives to where we can seek and follow everything, that's where we're at. We're in a lost cause, but we have to fight it the best we can. Nevertheless, that's what we'll have to do. All right. So also another ticket. Amazon bought MGM. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. MGM. One second here. I got a message here. I'll see if it's important to file to it. Okay. Oh, it's an invite on the show. Okay. And more. All right. I'm just trying to respond to another platform that we're streaming to here. All right. So anyway, a little bit of that on you. I told you about the fentanyl and all that stuff. And but I mean, again, thinking about Nancy, I mean, what a disgrace. And then she's trying to toast Biden. I think he was even lost in her comments. I mean, what was she talking about? I mean, did anybody understand that? I sure didn't. I really didn't. It's unbelievable where we are. 2022, 2021. It's probably going to go down as the worst years in the American history books. Honestly, it's going to be probably something just like that, without a doubt. So don't forget about the Convention of States and how that's helping. And then, as I said, you have Dr. David Martin, who's going to be fighting, and they've already performed this lawsuit in the federal courts, appeal courts, not appeal courts, federal courts in Utah. And again, if with any luck and good strategy, if they can prove their case solid, it will stop this dead. And a bunch of manners of ways. Okay. All right. I'm not going to get into that because it's very long, descriptive to really get into that. I also want to tell you something else that you might not know. There are over 300 biolabs that funded by the United States all throughout the globe. 300. Why do we need 300 biolabs? I mean, truthfully, why is that? I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And what I was just telling you about Moderna, now you know who the interested parties were. And the fact that Fauci was a very young CEO for them, Soro come in, they innovated, they jumped aboard with Fauci, they jumped aboard with Gates, and then slowly Epstein made his way. Well, the late, if he is he really the late Epstein? But nevertheless, look how deep this shit goes, man. It doesn't end, does it? I don't know. It's crazy. We have this Sunshine Protection Act that's out there now too. It's going to start next November, so just keep that in mind. It's part of the Sun and Dim project of what they're working within. I can't even answer for what these people think about at this point, but I can tell you that's just another weapon. Okay. Let me see what I got here. I guess it's some of this stuff I wrote days ago. I've been working a lot of hours, and still trying to get out and talk and come aboard to you guys for a few minutes here and there. This is going to be real long tonight. I'm wiped out, and I got more work, and I got 3 shows in the next 2 days, all on different platforms. And besides, what I'm seeing you guys post, you guys got the news. There's no doubt. You got the news. I know yous are hearing this, man. These alert days too. Now that all the weather channels are coming about, and this goes to the climate. This is a fake bullshit push to everybody. Alert day, air qualities. Don't go outside. Listen, in Pittsburgh on the news the other day, and it just wasn't here. I jumped around. All right, I went on a cable thing. Everybody was using this narrative. All right, it was an alert day. Best probably not to go out. It's not so much that it was going to be 68 degrees. Like, that's terrifying in itself. But why all of a sudden so many pollutants when nobody's even working? And nobody in the last 2 years has really been working. If you really think about this, the only pollution is the shit they're spraying in the sky. Make that determination for yourself. It's like they're trying to do a soft lockdown on you. Instill the fear, keep them in their homes. Narrative, freaking narrative. It just doesn't end. Water prices going up. All utilities, gas, light, water. And now listen, you think they could even deliver safe water? Does anybody get their tap water tested? I mean, truly, do you? Well, I can tell you right now, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is a failure. Check yours out. It'll probably do the same. Lead pipes more. Yeah, they're trying to do their damnedest. We had a bursting pipe, and it's shut down the road now for a month. It's a main article. I know the infrastructure is old. I get that. But where were these people? They weren't even trying to give us good quality, yet alone keeping the maintenance up. But everything has to come up. Now, why isn't something in a Build Back Better an infrastructure plan not paying for this? But no, they're going to come after us. Prices will go up now on water. And, to me, that is another case scenario of why I'm talking about people on fixed income, you know? And I have bigger issues than that. I have other worries. Why all of a sudden are we seeing a global pandemic of homeless being shot and killed? What is that? Target practice at night and it's okay? It's allowable? That's bullshit. But that's another thing we have. There was something I wanted to tell you that I don't remember where I wrote it. I'm probably not going to think of it right now. Hey, I'm not professional, man. I'm the guy who comes on and talks about a lot of shit and tells you how much I hate it. Or I could sit here and talk Biden all night, and I hate him. I hate what he does. I hate his ideology and his narratives and the function of who these people were. Now he's delusional. It seems in his age now. Hopefully, this will happen faster for him, or the Lord taketh, or something like that. Because people like this should not be walking, breathing our air. And that's probably the next thing we'll get billed for. We have a rain tax too in Pittsburgh. You'll probably get yours. Because now water's coming down on the ground. They're doing anything to raise prices, at least here in Pittsburgh. I don't know about where you live, and I'm not trying to vent Pittsburgh's talking on this segment, but a lot of things are reflecting where I live, and a lot of people that do catch the show time and time again do listen to hear if there's anything going on. So Juju Smith, I hear he got traded. I don't know. Can anybody give me some facts on that? I think he was going to Kansas City. I may be wrong, but I may be right. So anyway, remember the alert days. It's narrative. It's a soft lockdown. They just don't want no one leaving their houses at all anymore. They don't watch TV. Don't talk to your neighbors. Stay 6 feet apart. Feel free to wear a mask if you think that you need to, as if that's going to change everything. Nothing's going to change anything when it comes to this stuff. Okay, it just isn't. But But going over some more here, let me just think of what I got going on here. Oh, Fauci, witness protection. What the hell was that about? And one of the other things that I love Rand Paul so much about, and you should too, if you can't fire the man because he's so well protected, just like Hillary, he's up there with Hillary on the same level. There's not a doubt about it. And the reason why, I just told you, Moderna, his connection to Soros. I mean, these are personal scenarios, things here. But what Rand Paul's trying to do now is eliminate the position. We can't fire you. We eliminate the position. You're no longer needed. That may just work out well because Rand Paul would like to get the group together up there, the group on the right, and narrate where they can put a panel together who will handle the next big issue if one ever does occur. Because we don't even know what occurred, when it occurred. We still don't have factual information because no one was allowed to learn enough or know enough. But we do know that it did start in North Carolina and a lab that Fauci was within, and Wuhan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now, if you remove Fauci from the equation, even though you can't fire him, yeah, somebody asked me, will he still get paid? He's 80 years old. He should drop, or whatever he is. Honestly, who cares? Maybe he'll get a severance pay. But maybe one day the United States will go and take everything from his family that he took from us as part of the connection of the crimes on humanity that he promoted and directly went after. There's no indirectly about it. He directly did things to narrate this. And he did it right in front of Trump's face with the hand. Remember the hand gesture? I'm all in with you, brothers. I'm all in. He was signaling them out, man. He was signaling to the biggest ones out there on the globe, and they were sitting in their chairs smoking their $100 cigars, Cuban cigars, laughing their asses off at Trump. And they were. They were. But the bottom line is this: he did it with success. So if Rand Paul can be successful here, and he can put in a platform of 3 to 5 people, all that have good capabilities, that have education and background and pathogens and more, then now we're talking business. Now we're going to get some action the right way, because they can go and fight until they're all blue in the face and then come out and determine a decision on what's best by a vote of 3, a vote of 5. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we need to go on these paths. We need to be more creative. And Rand Paul is just that type of guy. He can't be everywhere just like you can't. You do the best you can to watch TV programs, share the information, get it out there to everybody. Hello, Darlene. How are you? Anyway, man, what a long couple, man, 6 weeks now. 6 weeks. I think it's 6 weeks. Anyway, it's been a long. I hate glazing windows. I'll just say that to you. All right, man. Let me see what else I got here. All right. So, yeah, the Ukraine citizens. I might have talked about. This is where sometimes it gets confusing because I talk on other people's shows. I don't even use my information from my own stuff. But also in Ukraine, these people were leaving. A couple million people leaving. Now, we're going to be accepting them in America. Just so you know, get ready for that next narrative. They will come here. It'll be a necessity. But while they were going into Poland and other places, they were required to be able to somehow prove, and if they couldn't prove, they had to at least accept the booster. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a trap. No matter how you look at it, it just is a trap. Okay. Also in Texas, there was 2 truckloads of migrants full, tractor trailers full of people in the back that got busted. All right. So we have that scenario that came in. They're still talking about all the states, and I know everybody's going to laugh about this like it doesn't matter, but it is partially important when you look at some people that don't have over $1,000 a month to live on. But we're hearing nothing about it that it will even happen. And if they do this, they'll probably raise something else, like the fact that now we're going to have, like for here in Pennsylvania, 9 new toll bridges. So if they can't get you at the pump, they're going to get you at the toll bridge. So if they suspend the gas tax at the pump, they're going to promote a new tax somewhere else on a roadway or with a toll bridge or turnpike fees. Something else will have a general increase to make it look like it did had one had nothing to do with the other, while the clock still ticks the same way. It all works the same, and that's the truth of it. Now you got one of these weird things here I want to share on. No, it's not the shrinkflation. I talked about that, and we know what that is. This is a little different. People in Ukraine are kind of like reporting on seeing strange activities in the skies from strange ships, which some verified as strange ships, um, where the skies were lighting up. Okay. Like it was lightning when it shouldn't have had any lightning. And then bolts of fire bolts of direct energy weapon or something was blowing up tanks. Okay. Now, this is out there. I don't know if that's true. Okay. I really don't know if that's true. I didn't try to get a hold of anybody in Ukraine that actually released that information in that video. Maybe there's something else going on here, because we do know the military industrial complex has been involved with a lot of stuff. And I do believe that we have things that they're not sharing with us. And, we don't have the need to know. We don't fall into that. It's above everything top secret. So you can have classified, you can have top secret, and then you can have above top secret, and then there's a few more levels. This usually is a navigation around the unknown that they don't like to share about. So was this true? I don't know. Did something fire some type of energy weapon and start destroying some of the tanks? And that 40 mile long tank. And then listen, maybe it is true, because think of the remarks of Pelosi. And they tell us everything, but you have to listen to what they say and try to understand the bigger picture. So if I'm to understand the bigger picture by what these people said they saw and what Nancy was promoting that she'd like to see happen, it does fit the agenda. Okay. And okay, a lot of people tell me, no, there's no way that kind of technology doesn't exist. That technology does exist, without a doubt. I seen it firsthand. I don't know what else I can tell anybody. So when Pelosi says something like this, and then you have people saying that you're seeing something like this, what was Pelosi referring to? That's all I can say. I'll say it to you that way. And I think I'm best off just leaving it at that. Leaving it at that. So, truckloads of migrants, illegals, coming and being found in the back of tractor trailers. One hell of a way to distribute them around the United States in the Texas area. And what's Governor Abbott doing to stop that? I mean, DeSantis said it's south, send them back to your hometown, Joe. Why didn't the truckers go to Joe's hometown and disrupt that? Maybe they can hang a right and go down the road to Joe's house and start, One of the other things that's pretty sad is that right now we're also finding out is you can't get tires for tractor trailers. You can't get certain parts for tractor trailers. These big Cummins engines in Detroit's, et cetera, et cetera. So this is going to be what now? A direct attack on the truckers of a different narrative. Part supplies have ended, all of a sudden just diminished, gone. And how can you blame Putin for this oil crisis? How did he start it? He didn't start anything. This was all the Biden administration and the new economy, the new Green Deal, and the facts that they want to take part where they want to take part. Now, please understand one faculty before I get off air tonight. The no-fly zone is a threat of mass destruction if that is to happen, because that's an invitation for the United States to be in a war with Russia. That's exactly what Zelensky's trying to promote here. He and I can understand why Marjorie didn't clap her hands for it, but that's where this would lead. If we would get in there and we would start a military response to Russia, then that puts us in war. Okay, China would be the next filibuster, the new move, okay, the one that they want, okay, and Russia, of course, is like this, waving backwards to China, saying, come on, brothers, come on, because why? They can become the world power. We can't go over there. We're not prepared to go over there and fight this war for them. And if we do go with our technology and we start hurting Russia, then I guarantee you China's going to jump into the picture, and it's going to turn into what you might want to call the New World War III. But we're already living that. The attacks on everything that happened in America already is facts of what we are living in. Maybe you want to call it our first world war here, if you can call it that, because we are in our own world war within the United States. It is us versus government, the government versus us. And we know who has the narrative in hand right now. We know who's winning. We know what opposition we're against. We know how evil these people are. But remember the facts here. If the United States gets involved and they get creative in weaponry and they go over there, this is going to open a shit can of worms, and it's going to be a 4-letter word that I don't want to use. Nuke. Okay, there it is. And it probably will have some type of catastrophic effect of very bad weapons. I'm really trying to watch what I say here because I got notifications that I'm a bad boy, you know? And that's not why I haven't been on. I was working in just different things, scenarios, family, a little grandkid, things. And that's how it works. All right. So one other thing about Ukraine, just so we know who these people are and who Zelensky is. Zelensky took it upon himself to narrate a few things of levels of surprises. And he got busted for this. No one knows about this, but the government got busted for it. I'll be correct, politically correct here, and correct my own terminology of what I'm sharing. Anyway, you know how tree loggers are. They cut trees, right? And then they log them. They stack them, right? They debark them, whatever. They remove the bark. Well, these guys over in Ukraine, the Khazarians, the rich, well, they were hollow coring out the trees in the middle. And yeah, they were filling the trees with things. Okay. So when the things started to come up on the weight machines, it was like, this doesn't make sense. So a little investigation had taken place, and they realized then that all the trees that had been coming in, shipped to the United States and China, were hollow and filled with products from the laboratory. Okay. Because we do know in these laboratories, remember the opioid issue that went on too in the dry sand area? So think about that. There was an issue of attack on poppy and seed and all that different kind of stuff, and opioids and how all that works and oil. So just keep in mind, there was something that happened. They burned them out, and then they went to synthetics, and they were bringing everything in inside these trees, these logs, big logs, hollowed out and filled. And that's how they've been bringing a lot of the stuff in. Can't put a body in it. They might be able to put parts in it, but I don't think it'll last. But the bottom line is part of their smuggling industry that they do. So that, listen, there's nothing that these people don't think about. We have boats and yachts now that, you know, even the Coast Guard say they have no way to figure out, because we had once the technology to figure out what was in a boat before ever pulling it over. They had sophisticated equipment. Well, you know, sophisticated equipment needs upgrades, taken care of. Sometimes it fails, it shuts down. Well, our Coast Guard is getting nothing. They're not getting any support that pertain to smuggling of drugs and people and human trafficking, and all this stuff. So they're creating hideaways in these yachts, and they're not very easy to get into these particular spots in them, but they do exist. They also have submarines. I talked to you guys about this. This is how they're coming in now. Yes, believe it or not, they have mini submersible subs, and all they need to do is bring in enough. And believe me, enough is what they can put in this stuff is a lot. Okay. It doesn't have to be real big to bring in a lot. Okay. So anyway, wanted to share that out with you. So be careful in case you go to pick up a log and it feels a little hollow or empty. You might want to try to split it open and see what the hell's inside. Just saying. Now, one of the other bad things about this economy and the gas is I was talking to a trucker. Okay. He had to fill up his truck. He paid like $5.20 a gallon. He spent like $1,170 on fuel to fill up his tank. So imagine the cost of money for these trucks up in DC right now. All these days running, pushing hard, some traveling, man, 20 some hundred miles to get over to DC. I mean, that's a lot of fuel. These people signed on for a lot. They really have. So when you look at it about filling up a tank, whether it's pulling a load or not, it's going to use this fuel. Eventually, they're going to need more, without a doubt. But imagine 1,150 $72 to fill the tank on that particular tractor trailer. I'm starting to think Vanpool rides are back in. I don't know if you guys remember Vanpool rides. A company opened up a thing back at the gas shortage under the Reagan administration where even in odd numbers we're allowed to get gas. One day even could get 5 gallons of gas. One day odd could get 5 gallons of gas. One day even, one day odd. And you went by the plate number. If the wrong plate pulled in, unless they were a doctor, they had a medical exemption as something, they were an essential. Here's where the essential comes back into play. Then they were allowed to get gas in an unlimited amount because they were considered to be a priority in the community. So you had to give them fuel and you couldn't say no to them. That was under an executive order. So Vanpools might be coming back. Share rides could be coming back. And you might see it. More people might be staying at home. Yeah, I think a lot of people like that idea. Anyway, oh, Beth McCord finally showed up. Hi, Beth McCord. How are you? I guess she was off busy sharing or something. And if you can share tonight, please do the same. Remember, this is Studio 10 Broadcasting, 10 o'clock Talks. I am Michael Anthony and the host here at America in Crisis. And I don't intend on giving this up. I just need a little space right now so I can finish this project. I don't want to own property no more. It's just not worth owning property. I mean, yeah, you want your home, you want your cabin, you want these things. I get that. But no, mine was a different level, rentals and different things like that in development. I don't want this shit no more. I don't want to be surrounded by people with, I know the law. Don't question me on the law. I mean, because that's what you deal with. You go to fix something or whatever, and it's like you're the bad guy. You're always me. You're always the bad guy. That's just the element of it. I needed time to get what I needed done. So anyway, I hope you guys got a little bit from me. I know I'm behind. I know I didn't share a lot, but Sunday night I want to do a couple different scenarios, one on climate, a little bit more of a deep dive on David Martin, Dr. David Martin, on that deep dive and lawsuit against the Biden administration and the corruption that they're fighting against. Now, remember, again, as I said, you got Fulnick, too, who's out there, okay, setting in place motions in Nuremberg to get some strength and strategy. But one of the problems that we deal with, some of these elites fall under what they call 501s, and they can never be criminally charged for anything. Same as some of these product safety issue things that we have concerns about. I'm trying to be creative in words, and sometimes, my mind doesn't work fast enough for my mouth movement. But these are just the issues that we need to fight against. And we will. Now, one of the other things is, what's the deal with the tornadoes? They can project tornadoes now 3 days. Pretty impressive. Usually, you can't really do that. Warnings used to come up. If you follow weather, and I don't care if we were in a climate issue, if you follow weather, and this is one of the reasons why I want to talk more about this. And that flip of the switch that they can do with this new technology that activates the atmosphere because of what they're spraying. And it does just do that. They can tell you now 3 days ahead where tornadoes are going to hit, and they do hit. They do happen. And we're getting an abundance of numbers. We're not even getting them in the normality of climate or periods of time when they're most likely and active to happen. Okay, to put it to you that way. So, while we have all that going on, we have guns blazing across the United States, shootings everywhere, and that continues. We have temperature rising, false. You have PAT bus mandates here, where a judge held up in Pennsylvania. And I'm sorry, this is part of Pittsburgh's talking. Now, where the bus drivers just didn't come into work Tuesday, and then Wednesday they were relieved of their jobs for not accepting the mandate. A lot of people fell under the fact that they weren't in health, and they felt that their health would diminish upon receiving one of these. And that didn't even matter. The judge says you must go through with it. So this is how dirty and how from Washington to every city across the country on every level in every department, we are fighting these issues, and they still exist right now. And that's why we need a guy like Dr. Martin, who's doing what he's doing. Because if he can bust the foundation that holds up that building, that empire that they built up in Washington, and it's not called the White House, it's called the United Nations up there, the one world order government that they have pledged an allegiance to. If he knocks it down, we're going to be in a much better place. So we need to fight for that guy, and we need to protect that guy for sure, without a doubt. Um, Something else I thought was really crazy. It has nothing to do with any of that shit. You guys see where these people are now? Where I got long hair, but these guys are like creating a hairline, shaving everything off the back, comes down into the beard and goes around. It's like a circle. What the fuck what is this shit? I mean, I get it. If you're doing something for a movie and you come up with something that's kind of cool that fits in there, but people are walking around like this. But again, I mean, I'm seeing every hair color dye. I am seeing such a change. And I'm not saying that some women aren't beautiful with the colors. I'm not going to make a comment on any of the men who choose to do this, because whatever. I don't look. I don't want to look. I could care less. Do whatever you want to do. But I mean, some of them are just like, I don't know, man. Are we dressing up for Halloween again? Every day of the week. I mean, it's bizarre. Now, one other thing, Bob Saget family fights for privacy. There's something fishy there. Real fishy went on there. The family didn't agree with the narrative of what the media was reporting, but somehow along it all, it's been hushed. It's been hushed. Don't believe that there was a fall, an innocent fall, bump in the head. No, no, there was nothing like that. So that made news. I don't know if anybody caught that. The push for the electrical equipment. That's you're gonna start to see that very heavily in the next 30 days, because we're in the spring and we're getting into a whole different scenario of the season. People are going to look to go back into to work doing landscaping and different projects that they do. And I will say this: we have been spoiled by these battery operated tools. I mean, imagine it. When I pulled out my first tool bag kit that I got, man, I was like, far out. I don't need to plug in anywhere. I got these batteries. I mean, you got to charge the batteries, but if you come in to work with all your stuff charged and it's a good system, they will work for the day. And if they don't, because you're overusing it, and they work pretty damn good too, they really do. That spoiled us. And that was probably the conditioning of test of as how we go. But now it's going to be all lawnmowers, even on golf courses. Even on golf courses. Now, I don't know how that's going to work out. I really don't. But I say it's going to come with significant cost. I would say when you get your bill from the country club, it will reflect to their new equipment to maintain the golf course. And you can thank all the privileged ones on the course, the golf, that are probably all party to this anyway. So yeah, that's going to be a real bomb, because you'll get fines if you're not running if you're not running electrical equipment and you're going to be a landscaper. They plan on imposing fines until people go out and buy new equipment and go all green, battery operated, everything to utilize while maintaining lawns, and even electrical sprayers. They no more air compressors. They no all this stuff they want wiped off. They don't want any gas running generators. They don't run it running up. And remember, fossil fuels is what we use to make electricity. You can't never take it all off the table. It's a necessity. Yes, do we need changes? In ways, sure. Do we need these changes? No. It's not as bad as what everybody thinks. Not by far. Too many scientists put out the information. People just have to look for it. Again, I am not about to give any congratulations to that embarrassment, Rachel Levine, who thinks they're a woman. I'm just a woman of the year. It's mind blowing. But happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I guess I may have failed to mention that to everybody, and I want to do that now. Thanks for joining in with me tonight. Again, some of the information's all over here, all over there, but it's important to check in and give support back to the people who support me. If you can like and share, send it out, do whatever you guys want. That would be fine. I greatly appreciate it. I should be through the hardest part of this job in the next week, and I think my mind will have a really good focus point. But dealing with the death, dealing with an overabundance of a lot of work, and some other legal issues, because you got to stand up for yourself. If you believe in something, you stand up and fight, no matter how hard the corruption is. That's what I do. So I've been entangled in some of that kind of stuff, and that's okay. And did anybody else that does StreamYard, you got any notifications that Facebook's not going to be accepting StreamYard anymore? Does anybody know about that? Because I use StreamYard, and I'm just curious about that fact. Any comments from anybody on that on StreamYard? Anybody know? Hey, David Parker came in. What's up, brother? Term limits, they're very important. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that. I really am. And Jeffrey, Dominic, I did make comments to you, brother. Carl, you're going to have to ride your bike down and visit me, man. I know you know the PA area. Gary's watching. There's a lot of people out of PA. I guess that's why I bring it up a lot on the live chat board that way. Anyway, I want to again just say have a great happy St. Patrick's weekend. Just keep it going, keep the party going. Don't ever stop living life, but remember to do the best you can to keep your health. Buy good supplements and vitamins that are true and honest products. Stay with that. Keep your guard up on water. And one of the most disheartening things that I find out is our water. When you pay for water, it should be drinkable, not showerable. Okay. Well, when you have to boil water and it still doesn't get the impurities out, they're guaranteeing us nothing, and that blows my mind. We don't deserve that. We deserve better. So how many billions of dollars will Biden put into the water infrastructure systems for America to have better drinking water come from their spigots? That's an important necessity, is it not? Has nothing to do with the new Green Deal, though, as we are depleting our freshwater resources because they intentionally drain them. Now, how many wildfires will we see this season? Well, you can bet your bottom dollar that something with this climate will have something to do with that whole agenda and more. I promise you, it really will. Thanks, man. Out of Pittsburgh, I'm Michael Anthony, Studio 10 o'clock Talks. You guys are rock stars. Be the warriors that I know you are. I'll be on as often as I can get on to say hello to everybody and try to do some other shows. I also been invited to other platforms, so I had to make up some of that time. And I have a young lady who's been asking me to come on to a show of a different type of a different platform. Has a nice large platform and wants me to come on. She wants to interview me. It's like, why me? Of all people. But anyway, so that's coming up. You'll be able to see it. I'll make sure it gets shared onto my timeline and out, so you'll be able to see it. And the copy will be posted on the page as long as I'm still allowed to come aboard on Facebook, because like I said, StreamYard's done something. I don't know if it's just, I read it real quick and I swear it said we will no longer be able to share you into Facebook, but you will have other choices. That's the way it looked. So I might be able to do Rumble, YouTube. So I might be out of here, just so you guys know. If I am, please follow the YouTube. I'll make sure the links always punch through, or that the share comes in to where you guys can just click on it. I can't do both though, through a lot of segments. But again, thanks again. Stay strong, man, because it's just we're in a very pathetic place. It's a very toxic environment, and the only way to beat it is to live in positivity. And also, we're bringing back Agatha. I had a great time with her on the show. I can't wait to get her back in. She likes to talk enlightenment and positivity, and it's a reflection I think that we all need to make in our lives. It's just the place we're in while we fight this. You can't fight it every minute of the day. You got to turn your head from things. And I do anticipate things like that to happen and even happen more. Hi, Linda Joanne. How are you this evening? So yeah, have a great night, man. I got to get some rest. I'm whooped. I promise you, I really am. It's called age. Have a great night. Don't judge me. I won't judge you. America, stay strong. Fight for your flag.